Hi, it's me, Jacqueline. Welcome to my channel. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and join me at Patreon. Link in the description. The music swells, drums and strings, and a wail builds behind the ring of a timbre. A leg emerges from the door, smooth, toe-pointed, nails polished and gleaming, a ring on the middle toe chained to a belled anklet. The leg wraps the door frame, an arm appears, long fingers wear zills, thin bracelets encircle a slender wrist. A few thick dark strands stick to the upper arm, encircled by a thick band. Pink chiffon trails from a wrist loop, leads behind the doorway to an unseen figure. The drumming and pipes intensify. The long bead strands fly back, and he springs into the room, feline, feral, viral, a cat to be captured, tamed, rendered into a purring pet. Only the right woman, a strong woman, a perfect mistress, could tame such a wild cat. And make him like it, beg to wear her ring in his nose, to bear her baby, to bear his body only for her, to be captured, milked, fulfilled in an arching climax. The dancer flies around the room, whirling, swirling, long black tresses flying, obscuring the face with every turn. Long muscles ripple, shiver, curves shimmy and shone. Supple finger flash, clash, the ting of the zills adding to the frantic beat. Skirts fly, veils swirl, filmy material reveals more than it concealed. The belly is flat, the breasts succulent pomegranates peeking over the gilt-threaded band. Hands swirl, he turns, arches back, hands tumbling over the magnificence of his toned torso. His hair, gleaming black layers of hair that fall to his navel, waves of hair to be grasped, twisted, used to lead him to service while his mistress, tumble and fall, thick, shiny, vital, his crowning glory promising life and passion, fall behind him, pool behind him. This one, he should not be bought, but captured, tamed, brought to heel, docile and demure, a pleasure in and out of bed, whose pleasure is to please his mistress. And giving pleasure receives it. The music rises to a climax. The dancer pushes over, face down, arms outstretched, wrists crossed. Am I pleasing, mistress? Do you want me? Take me, care for me, protect me. Spread me, capture me, milk me. I am your hurry in the bedroom. The music dies. Amidst the chains and baubles, a wedding band encircles the third finger of the left hand. He is mine. Mine by right of capture, by right of protecting, of pleasuring the tender heart beneath his raven hair. Fingers reach out, twist perfumed locks between them, lift the beseeching head. Come, my darling girl, come taste the sweetness of my pleasure. Come, pleasure me, my sweetness, and I will give you children. Oh, my darling Beth, will you? To have your girl, to give you a daughter, to know a Coman's greatest joy. Take me, my darling, limp and besotted after you have had your way with me, so that everyone who sees will know that I am your Coman, your willing, loving Coman, slave of my desire for you. Fingers draw the head to the foot, to receive the first kisses of a loving and beloved wife. Soon he would scream out his pleasure, squeal at the pleasure of being conquered and captured by a powerful dama. And soon he would swell with pride at the swelling of new life. Music intruded, a stranger in paradise. WPLY, the Cumberland Plateau's voice for the arts. And next on Broadway Review. Beth's eyes flicked open, searching the room. Where is? The pillow was warm against her, her thighs damp. So real. Yet so unreal. She stirred, pulled the robe close around her, pushed up, swung her feet over. Instinctively, Beth reached up, touched her hair, checked the twist smoothness for flyaway strands, the seam for loose pins. I care? I've no one to really notice. Or must my hair when I need it must? Sandy. Freddie. They must be hungry. Time to get my act together. Feet hit the floor. The robe pooled around her toes. Mom, mistress of the universe, was stripped for action. Beth paused at the rec room door, one hand in the patch pocket of her yellow house dress, the other gripping the door frame. Sandy was asleep on the couch, the navy and white caftan pulled over his knees, a storybook lying open on the floor. Freddie sat in front of the game console, playing her favorite maze game where magic wands turned witches and ogres into treasures, and sweets and helpful magic creatures. Beth ambled softly to the couch, tucking the caftan under Sandy and picking up the storybook to lay it on the table behind. Brave Tin Soldier was the tale, with lots of pictures, big type, and one set of pop-up figures on the back cover. Sandy had fallen in love with the story after watching Babes in Toyland. He had already asked if he could have a drum majorette costume for Halloween, complete with a drum major's baton. Vicky had traced one down through theatrical costumes, so Sandy would go trick or treating wearing a long, pleated red skirt, his hair drawn into a curled ponytail under an oversized navy shako. How's the game coming? Not too bad. I'm at level 5 with 2 lives left. When I get the gingerbread witch into the oven, I get her chest of jewels and another life. Can you pause that and give me a hand? I could use some help with supper, just as soon as I get over the troll bridge. Thank you, sweetheart. Beth bent down to kiss the top of Freddie's chestnut head, just in front of her topmost pony puff. Mom, too old for your mother's sugar? You almost got me eaten by a troll. Sorry, mothers are forever, but trolls, even digital ones, take precedence, I guess. Beth settled into a chair, watching Freddie manipulate Little Red Riding Hood down the path. Red was sweetly drawn, Red Hood, impossibly big blue eyes, and long yellow ringlets. But this hood's basket was lethal, much like old cartoon, with magic wands and morphing guns, and a big battle axe for chopping up Wolfie in the last level. Never was a sweet-looking girl so downright vicious. Well, maybe Betty Jo Collins in 2nd grade who pummeled Tommy Baker into the dirt at recess when he called her a whore. None of us really knew what a whore was, but it sounded nasty the way he said it, and Betty Jo took umbrage. Betty Jo was not a girl you wanted to cross. She was the biggest girl in 2nd grade, as big as any boy, and with 2 older brothers, she knew all the wrestling holds. Mrs. Hayworth probably would have given Tommy a stiff talking to for his tone, if not his language, but when Betty Jo got through pounding his head into the ground and making him eat dirt before she would let him cry, "Uncle," there really wasn't much need. Mrs. Hayworth did tell Betty Jo that her behavior wasn't ladylike. Like Betty Jo cared. Beth blinked and looked at Freddie. Freddie was no Betty Jo, not in her light pink tank and flowered hanky hem skirt. But she liked sports, running second on Miss Fairland's Junior Elementary 440 relay, and playing a fair left field on the Dixie Gat softball team. Still, she was girl enough to enjoy being presentable at pageants and performing in a Miss Vicky production each year. Freddie was not shy about being the center of attention, but at least she wasn't unhappy when others had the limelight. Sweetheart? Are you at a stopping spot? Freddie sat, hunched over and face screwed up in concentration. The game dinged, and then sounded like a Vegas slot machine paying off. Got you. Freddie fumbled with the buttons before glancing over at her mother. There. What did you want, Mother? Come help me get supper ready. Freddie glanced at Sandy's recumbent lump. I don't suppose he could help? Let him sleep. Besides, we two haven't had a chance to talk alone in ages. Beth pushed herself out of the armchair, her back protesting that it would really rather be prone. Freddie levered herself upright, rising almost as if wires had lifted her up. The advantage of being young and supple. The kitchen was big enough for a small crew to prepare for parties. Beth and Freddie had plenty of room to work without stumbling over one another. Beth began assembling food to prepare while Freddie gathered up items to set the table. Soup tonight, Freddie. Don't forget soup spoons. And add to the lemonade, so we'll need a bowl for ice. Don't forget a trivet so that won't make a circle. Got it. Freddie unfolded the step stool so she could reach into the upper cabinets. Pot on the stove, Beth twisted the opener around a soup can. As soon as you're done in there, I need you to make the pudding. Do I have to? That's girls' work. Frederica Glenda Brown. I will not have you talking like that. Do you think I am a girl? That's different. And just how so? Things were different back then. Before girls. Now we girls will have wives to take care of things like that. Frederica Brown, I will not having you thinking like a sow. That sexist attitude wasn't pleasing when males voiced it, and it isn't any better with the shoe on the other foot. If you don't respect your wife's role and effort, you will not have a long and happy marriage. Is that why you and Daddy got divorced? Beth stood silently, thinking as she poured water into the warming soup. In a way, I suppose. That wasn't exactly it, but if he had respected me more, my balancing working in a travel agency, raising you two, and keeping our home together, maybe he wouldn't have cheated on me. On us. Could Daddy cook? Barely. Times where I thought he proposed just to get decent meals regularly. I don't want you to be like that, needing support and taking for granted who provides it. So get in here, Frederica, and learn something about getting around in a kitchen for more than raiding the refrigerator. If you insist, Mother. I do. You can make tonight's pudding. Instructions are on the box. Freddie took up a position across the cooktop island. What do I do first? You might try reading the instructions. But you'll need a large bowl, a measuring cup, a whisk, a tablespoon, and 6 of the egg cups. Gather those up first. I really need an assistant. Why don't I get Sandy? He needs to learn how too. You're spoiled. Let your brother sleep until supper is ready. Besides, I want us to have time to talk. Remember? Beth brought up a wooden chopping board. Okay. Freddie began gathering up supplies, making only a minor show of helplessness, asking where everything was. Honestly, Freddie, you act as if you hadn't helped put things away 100 times. I forget. Well, try to remember. Otherwise, I'll think you're as empty-headed as a simpering girl. Never. So how are you and Sandy getting along? I thought you played together very nicely today with the Taylors over. Beth began chopping an apple for the tuna fish sandwiches. He's okay, but he's a bit of a tag-along. You're older. He looks up to you. You have shown him the kind of girl that he will want to marry someday. That's a big responsibility, you're being older. Freddie peered at the box directions. It's just I'd like to be with my friends alone sometimes. Just us girls. No little brothers or girlfriends demanding attention. So how are you and Carol Sue getting along? For a girl, he's all right. A little clingy and underfoot sometimes, but okay. He's nice to dance with at Miss Chatham's. When he's not asking if his hair is all right. Or complaining I'm upstaging him. Beth laughed. Carol Sue is a bit of a prima donna. He gets it from Vicky, or maybe from all the show people around them. But he is crushed if you don't notice him. 3 cups of milk. Whole or low fat? Whole is richer, but use low fat. It helps us mind our figures. Every little bit helps. Do you want to know how to handle Sandy? Sure. Freddie opened the refrigerator for a jug of milk. I had a girlfriend who was high maintenance, as we called it. Laura ran through boyfriends like there was an endless supply of them. Which for her was almost true, what with her long golden hair and a very nice figure. But all those bust-ups kept her emotions bouncing like a ping-pong ball. But then she found a boy who knew how to handle her. Know what he did? Beth dumped the chopped apple in a glass bowl holding pickle relish. Ignore her. Freddie paused, whisk in hand. No. Other boys had tried that, and that's what would set her off. He realized she needed to be admired, reassured that she was nice enough. He made a point of complimenting her the first time he saw her every day. It didn't have to be much, a change in her hair, a different outfit, a piece of jewelry, some little something she was doing differently. He only had to do it once each day. When she knew he cared enough to notice, she relaxed and became less needy. She was completely hooked inside of a month and would do anything to please him. When he took her hand in his, she positively floated. She was his girl right through graduation. Beth dumped a small can of albacore in with the large can of light tuna. So what became of them? Beat just a little harder. You want to blend in some air. And tilt the bowl just a little. An angle makes it easier to whisk. He married her. She got her PhD and they have 4 nicely spaced children. What's a PhD? Beth laughed. Putting hubby through. But she has her own degree as well. In marketing. A course or 2 at a time, baby on her hip, a text on the counter instead of a TV soap while she fixed meals or did the wash. She says that the courses kept her brain from reverting completely while playing patty cake with the children. Beth dumped in lemon juice and reached for the bottle of dill. She's just a housewife? Don't say it like it was a punishment. She loves caring for her children just as much as I did caring for you and Sandy. She does paid work part-time now. You need to spoon the mix into the cups and put them in the fridge. Just because you girls here in Sheraton have gotten used to the idea of girls as wives doesn't mean that all girls are repulsed by the thought of being wives and mothers. Even here. No way. Spoon in midair, Freddie looked astonished. Yes, way. Nowadays most of them go off to college or to work in the city and don't come back except to visit, but upbringing isn't everything. The hormones kick in, they see traditional roles in magazines and on TV, and they have traditional grandparents. Just because a woman wants to be a wife doesn't mean she's a stupid throwback, as much as some of the more vocal Damas maintain. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access.